Hi there guys, and welcome to the last episode of 2024. I was out for a walk, well I'm out on a walk at the moment with the family, and one thing just struck me. Well, as you can see in the background there, that's a golf course. So it's winter and it's cold and it's snowy, and it got me thinking of summer. As most people do, they put out a video of what happened in 2024, look back at that. And I thought, instead of doing a whole year trying to go through all the films, I want to take out one part of the year. You can probably guess which part of the year it is for anybody that follows me regularly. And obviously that's Ford Fair 2024. Now I've already done a film about Ford Fair. What I wanted to do was make this video just to show some of the people that made a bit of an impression on Mrs. the Mechanic and myself. I made the journey possible. Obviously there's the sponsors and things like that that helped me along the journey, but there's a few people that made the journey just that little bit more special. They made the journey that little bit more possible. First of all, so a quick recap on the journey. We set off from Welding towards England, and it went fine actually. I was expecting problems. Obviously the car was fairly newly running, new changed engine and stuff like that. But we didn't have any problems for the first 3 days. In fact, we were almost at the Channel Tunnel, which was almost the end of the journey, and we got our first problem. So as you can see here, we stood at the side of the road, reflex jackets on, waiting for a tow truck to come and get us. It turns out one of the spark plugs had given up. Now, people are probably saying, why didn't you change the spark plugs before? And yeah, I should have done. I never even thought about it until one of them broke, which is when I realized that these spark plugs are the ones that came in the engine from the scrapyard. So how many miles those spark plugs have done, I have no idea. How long they've been sat in the engine for, I have no idea. How long the engine's been sat at the scrapyard before it came to me, I have no idea. But it made it all the way to Belgium anyway with those spark plugs before one of them decided to break down. Taken to a little Belgian garage that were very, very surprised to see a 2-litre engine in a Mark 1 Fiesta. But anyway, we got a set of, I think it was 3 new spark plugs and 1 second-hand spark plug from a Ford Sierra, fitted them to the engine, and we carried on the rest of the journey. We did get a message from one person named Kieran, also known as the Little Red Fiesta, saying if we needed any help with the workshop, then let him know and he'll help us. So we took him up on that offer. I wanted to fit some new plugs in there now, knowing that I'm using second-hand spark plugs. So we took him up on that offer and we went to his garage. And there we got to service the car. Now, one other thing we found while we were driving along the road is that we were making a noise on acceleration. It was a knocking noise underneath the chassis of the car, which I put down to probably an engine mount, because it was every time you change gear or accelerated hard. It's the original engine mounts from the original car from, I don't know when, probably 1970, no, probably from 1982, I don't know. That's what I put it down to anyway. When we got underneath the car, we found it wasn't. But anyway, have a look at this. So we've got Kieran here and his Little Red Fiesta. A lot of you will already know him from his own channel. I'll put a link down below. But he's the one that contacted me and said, use my garage. So that's what we're doing.
That's it. It's a little bit strange being on this end of the camera actually. I'm usually the one holding it, but yeah, we're not too far here between Folkestone and Cambridge. It's kind of like a 20-minute detour. So yeah, thought I'd give you a shout, and we can use the, not that it's very tidy. Everyone knows that my garage isn't very tidy. So yeah, we'll give Alice some TLC, and then if you're feeling brave enough, I'll take you out for a little drive in the Little Red Fiesta and see if I can't scare you more than I scared Adi.
I have been warned about it. Adi has warned me about it, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Took him a good 2 or 3 days to calm down, I think.
He did tell me that, and I thought he was joking, but we'll see.
No, you'll enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, definitely.
I'm looking forward to that then. But while we're here then, for those of you that don't know about it, let's have a quick look at the car then. What have we got here then?
So it is it's a hybrid, so it's an ST170 bottom end. It's a Mondeo blacktop head no decompression plate, bottom end's completely stock. Coil and plug, standalone management, etc, etc, and then a very big Cummins diesel whole set, which is far too big for the car really, but you know.
There it is. Look at the size of that.
We're actually sitting in the pub having a few pints talking about things, and we came across this one on Marketplace, and after 4 pints it seemed like a good idea at the time. So,
and the pub and Marketplace, that's where all the best ideas come from, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
well, I mean, that's where I brought the car to start with, you know. Like I've had the thing 10 years, so yeah, 10 years ago the whole journey started in the pub on Marketplace, and
oh, brilliant, isn't it?
yeah, a few years later the turbo pub and Marketplace came along. So yeah, that's what it is. It makes, at the moment, it's making about 200 horsepower. I thought I had decent springs in it. I brought a set of second-hand springs that were supposedly better. I can't remember if they were ST170 springs or if they were like £180 aftermarket springs. Either way, whoever sold them to me had me bent over, because they're not. I think they're just stock springs. So once we got to about £12 a boost, we started hanging the valves open, and so thankfully didn't lunge the engine, and kind of realised that something wasn't right before we did, and it's all right. So we've had to back it down to about £10, but it didn't weigh a lot. So
I can see it.
Even at 200 horsepower,
I was looking inside there now.
quick.
I mean,
Yeah,
I've put some seats in mine, but they're some pretty stripped out seats.
They're not the most comfortable things in the world.
I mean, it's got some insulation on there. Look, so it's not that bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not so much for the comfort. That's because I'm really short and I can't see over the steering wheel. But the plan is, and they're hopefully going to turn up in the next couple of weeks, but I have ordered some mould kits for these. So you know the old drag racing cars, you sit in a big plastic bag and fill it full of this foam, etc. So I've ordered 2 of those kits, so we'll hopefully have some nice moulded cushion inside the Kirkies. But yeah, it's been fairly stripped out for a good couple of years. I've only recently put the carpet back in it, just
for a bit of luxury feel.
Well, I think I'm just getting old now, you know. I just can't deal with the rattling. It's so noisy in there and so rattly. I thought, I'll put the carpet back in it. And that was originally a brown carpet, and I've used some automotive carpet dye. Yeah. And actually it's come up really nice for 30 odd quid's worth of dye. Can't complain. So yeah, it's
now I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the gear stick, and I noticed that doesn't look like mine.
No. So the gearbox is a ST170 6-speed.
Oh, it's a 6-speed, is it?
6-speed box, yeah. So obviously it's cable linkage, and that would originally on the Focus be sat on the tunnel, and it's quite long. I can't take the credit for that idea. I think Mike came up with that idea. Mike FPE came up with that idea first. And,
right.
Well, that's a good idea. So kind of robbed that off of him. But yeah, we went with the 6-speed box because you don't have to cut the inner wing bits and pieces, and it fits better. It also meant that I could keep the second second drive shaft, the intermediate shaft on the back, so I've got equal length drive shafts.
Oh, so right.
Makes I mean, it's still full of torque steer, as you'll find out, but it makes it a lot better than it was before when you had that one really long shaft. So it does make a difference. The only downside is it's designed for 17-inch wheels, so on 13s with a low profile, the ratios are very short, very short. But that ironically actually suits the car a little bit better because it's got a big turbo on it. The shorter ratios kind of suit the setup, so it's not fat and lazy, and it's always, it's really peppy and ready to go.
Yeah,
it's sort of a mixed match of bits and pieces from other cars. And, works quite well. Do need custom drive shafts as well, so it's not. Oh right. It's not a cheap option. It's the gearbox is cheap. You pick them up. Not a lot of people like them or want them, so you can pick them up for 50-60 quid. I've got another one in there ready for when I break this one. But the shafts I think cost me 450 quid to get made up. Right. And it's a case of we cut the old shafts, welded them together and sleeved them to make sure they sort of fitted, and then I sent them off to Sean at Billet 4 Components, and he machined me a setup and sent them all back nice and shiny and wonderful, and they've stood up to some pretty good abuse since. So if it wasn't for the 13-inch wheels, the 6-speed box I think is definitely the way to go. So, if you've got 15, 16s with a bigger, I mean, you've got quite a good profile tyre on there, so that would sit, would sit it better. But yeah, I mean, at 75, 80, this is sort of 4.5, 5 grand on the revs, so it is up there.
It's up there, yeah. Well, that's not as good as what I've been doing then in that case, because I was running at nearly 3,000 revs, and I think that's a little bit high.
Yeah.
I think my idle's a bit too high, so that might be the reason for that. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Absolutely.
Right, let's get on to doing some work then. So we've let the engine cool down for a bit. We've just come up from Folkestone, so about a 40-minute run in her, so she's stinking red hot as usual. But what we're going to do is we've got some parts here. So we've got some oil, some triple QX 540 oil, an oil filter, and a set of plugs.
There you go. All right.
Ooh, oh, that's interesting.
Good. Doesn't look too bad, to be honest. It's in the amount of time I've done. Worse.
You ready?
Yeah, go.
That might be the knocking noise then. That is probably the knocking noise when accelerating then. I thought it was tight, but I don't think it was that tight. So we've picked up a bit of a knocking noise on gear changes, and I thought it was the gearbox mounts on here. I thought they were probably not built for the kind of horsepower this engine's running anymore, so I thought they might be splitting, but I think I found the culprit, and it's all the way back here. And it might just be, I don't know if you can see it, that lambda sensor. That to me looks like it might be slightly touching somewhere, and that might be my problem. I'm really surprised that lambda sensor is still working. It looks like we've probably caught the exhaust at some point, because that looks like the catalytic converter's moved slightly further back. But that lambda sensor is definitely touching the bodywork, and that's what the knocking noise is. So I need to sort that out at some point. But I found my knocking noise at least. The engine mount's not coming off. Instead I'm breaking my lambda sensor off. But yeah, we'll sort that out at some point. Right, so apparently I'm going out for a drive with Kieran in the Little Red, and he's told me it's kind of scary, and he's just started it up, and I'm kind of starting to believe him. So better go and say goodbye to Mrs. the mechanic. Quick kiss for good luck. And yeah, this should be interesting. I've been warned about this.
Okay, ready?
I don't know.
Ready as you'll ever be. Just a tad louder than yours.
I was just gonna say it's slightly noisier than mine.
The rattling more than anything.
With the car to keep in a straight line. That's amazing. Well, what a wild ride that was. That was absolutely amazing. Absolutely fantastic. I love that. Yeah, I don't know what else to say really. That was amazing. I'll just show you quickly inside for those of you who haven't seen this car yet. Yeah, in all its glory. That was absolutely fantastic. So a massive thank you there to Kieran and the Little Red Fiesta for scaring the crap out of me. Now, I like driving fast, so that was good fun. I really, really enjoyed that drive. If you haven't already seen the Little Red Fiesta film of me in the car, then go check it out. I'll put a link at the end of this video, so don't miss it. So the next person I want to move on to is a person that contacted me and asking me if I was going to do anything while I was in England, which I thought was a really weird question, but When I got to know the person, I realised that perhaps it wasn't all that weird in the end of the day. The next person is AD Bright. A lot of people will know AD Bright from the Fiesta scene and from the Fiesta 123 scene. And he reached out to me asking me if he'd got anything planned while we're in England, which I didn't. So he decided that he was going to set up a Fiesta 123 meet outside of the world famous Herbie's Diner, invited us along. He even put us up for the night in his house, gave us an evening meal, and then we went off to Herbie's for breakfast. Now, that was an amazing day, meeting some amazing people. A massive, massive, massive thank you to everybody that turned up for that day. It was an absolutely brilliant day, surrounded by some amazing cars. So take a look at this footage now from the video. If you haven't already seen my video of the Herbie's Diner 123 meet, go check it out. I'll put a link to it again at the end of the video so you can check it out there. As a bonus clip, I'm going to put one of my absolute favourite clips that I've taken over my career as a YouTuber out here. The absolute favourite clip of me hanging out the side of the car, taking a photo of AD's car we pulled up at the side of it. Now this is not slowed down, this is not changed in any particular way, this is exactly as it came out of the camera, and I just absolutely love it. So that's the 123 meet, and I think you'll find that's a video that I absolutely love. Now, the picture here that I'm showing you here is actually the river that passes near our house. And as you can see, it's frozen. It's completely frozen. I'm not going to go out on there just yet because I don't think the ice is safe enough to go out on there yet, but it won't be long before you can take a walk along that ice there. Isn't that amazing? So after we left 80, well, we didn't actually get very far. We drove into Cambridge to have a look around, and at that point my alternator bracket decided it was going to give up, so it broke off, which meant we were then stuck in the middle of Cambridge. So AD to the rescue with a welder and some tools, and we ended up welding the bracket together in the pub car park in the middle of Cambridge. So again, another massive thank you to the pub owner there that came out, actually served us drinks while we were there, filming and videoing and welding in his pub car park. Thank you so much.
Okay, that's so kind of you, thank you.
We'll settle up when we're finished.
Don't worry about it, all good.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much. So with that done, we've now got a bit of a list coming together of things that we need to get done on the car. We've got an alternator bracket that I've only temporary welded together. We've also found we've got a lambda sensor that is bent. So I now needed to get some proper work done to the car and in a proper workshop. So I sent a message off to the man that is Shane Baker, the god of everything that is Fiestas, Mark 1s and Mark 2s. I know he's not a big fan of a Mark 1, but he's still got a lot of stuff. And he, being the man that he is, stood up and said yes. So he cleared his entire day schedule for us to come with Alice. We got it up on the ramp and we did some work on it. So here's the video from that day. And we've turned up at Shane Baker's place. Now I was here about 2.5 years ago, met Shane Baker for the first time, and I bought some parts off of him for actually doing the conversion. And now we're here with the entire car, which is quite cool really. So we're going to get up on the ramp and we'll start having a look at what the problem is. So we've pulled the entire exhaust off, and there we have the culprit. There is the lambda sensor. I'm still struggling to understand how that's working, but that's pretty bent, that is. So we're going to take that out and we're going to put a bung in that hole. Then we need to make a new hole for the new lambda sensor to fit. So we've got the car up on the ramp, and this is the front section here. So the rest of the exhaust comes off of here, and we're going to put, where that black mark is there, that's where we're going to drill a hole, put a new lambda bung on there and a new lambda sensor there, and then when we rotate it up it'll point up here somewhere. But that's where we're going to put the new lambda sensor, and that should be, it's probably about, what, nearly 10 centimeters away from the bulkhead, so that shouldn't be a problem anymore. Shouldn't catch, shouldn't be a problem. So we're going to start to drill a hole and weld it. That's all right. So now while we're under there, we did manage to find that we've got another problem that I didn't know about. This is the right hand drive shaft, the long one, and well, the boot split. So we're going to change the boot wire here as well. So yeah, that doesn't look very good. God knows how long that's been split for. There we go, 5 minutes later, and a new boot, all fitted. So now I can put the shaft back in again. Now that's a problem solved that I didn't know I had a problem of. So that's all that done. So this is the repair that I wanted to do in the car park but couldn't because we didn't have a grinder. So we've cut up a little channel there, a little V channel there, so now I can put a proper weld in there, and then we're going to strengthen these side pieces as well so this shouldn't break off again. So, but this is what I couldn't do before and that we're going to do now in the workshop. Right, so we welded the bracket up. And one thing we've got here, this is my alternator, one that I've had on my car. Now Shane had this one lying around on the bench, which in all intents and purposes is exactly the same. This one is actually a little tiny bit smaller than mine, of all things. But one thing he's just been telling me is that he's going to start to sell this alternator and a bracket to fit it. So all you Mark 1 guys, keep your eyes out Shane Baker's SB parts, because this bracket and alternator will be coming out as a kit in the future as soon as this bracket is finalised, and that will give us a bracket. So he's the only one at the moment that actually will be doing a bracket for the Mark 1 Fiesta with the alternator on the ZTEC conversion. So this is a really nice bracket, I really like that. I'm looking at it trying to work out how I'm going to make one of them myself, but I like that and it'll soon be on sale, so keep your eyes out for it. Alternator and bracket. Right, so Alice has now had a little spa time here. We've changed a CV joint, we've changed the lambda sensor, we've also fixed the steering, which was a bit woolly for some reason. We've tightened the bolt up, which we found that was loose, so we've done that. We've changed a couple of exhaust clamps. So yeah, we've done quite a lot, and I think Alice is ready to go back on the journey, or at least off to Ford Fair. So we're all ready now. We're going to carry on with a bit more shopping because apparently we need to do that. So that's what we're going to do now. So a massive thank you to Shane for spending the time with us and giving Alice a bit of a spa day. So keep your eyes open for those parts that are coming on Shane Baker's homepage later on in the year. Again, huge thank you to Shane for that day. His knowledge on things like this is absolutely amazing. So a massive thank you to Shane for that. So that was, like I say, the most epic part of 2024 for especially me and Mrs. the Mechanic. Obviously, we did get to Ford Fair. We made it on our journey. If you haven't already seen the film, then I'll put a link to it probably up here somewhere, so you can go and have a look at that. An absolutely amazing day. Alice even did 3.5 laps around the world famous Silverstone, which is amazing. I didn't want to push her because we were going to drive home the next day, so she did the 3.5 laps and I'm happy with that. Alice and I have now been around Silverstone. So the big question now then is 2025. What are we going to do for 2025 with Alice? What do we do to top Ford Fair and that epic journey? Well, I don't plan on doing a new trip to England this year. I think what I'd like to do is a bit more of the Scandinavian trips. So I'd like to do a bit more journeys within Sweden. I have had an invitation over to the Fiesta Club of Norway, so that would be really cool to go over to Norway and visit some of the fiestas over there. There is a Ford club in Sweden which I'm a member of, so they do have meets, and I would like to actually try and get to one of their meets as well. So if anybody is in Sweden, pretty much anywhere, let me know if there's anything going on, and I'll see if I can fit it in the diary, and we might get a trip around with Alice. I would like to go over to Finland as well with Alice, just to see if there's any more car shows over there. I know there are a few. I did one before we went to England in Haparanda, which is on the Swedish-Finnish border. So yeah, looking for that. I have got a slight plan in the works at the moment for Millie. Now, those of you that don't know who Millie is my Million Fiesta. Yes, I do have a Million Fiesta. For those of you that don't know what a Million Fiesta is, basically they made 3,100 Fiestas of a certain type. They were silver and they were black, and they were to commemorate that Ford had made 1 million Fiestas. They made 3,100 of them. There are, as of today's date, 15 known. The register says the UK, but the cars were sold worldwide, so I don't know how many there are worldwide, but I know that there's a register and there are 15 cars on that register. There are 3 of them in silver, the rest are black. I happen to have one of the silver ones. I also happen to have the only silver one or black one in left-hand drive. So that's a car that I would like to get some work on. That might be something I can get my teeth into this year. We'll see how things pan out during the year. But that would be nice to get Millie on the road. But if nothing else, I would like to do a video of Millie. Get her out there and get everybody to see what she's like. And have a bit of a chat about Million Fiestas. See if there might be anybody else. If you do have a Million Fiesta, put a comment down below. There is a link, and I'll put it down below, to Project Bobcat, where the register is already of the known Million Fiestas. So if you do have one, have a look at that link, go to Project Bobcat and put your car in there as well, and we'll see how many Million Fiestas we can find. So that is the end of this video, and pretty much the end of 2024. There's only a few days left of it. So I would like to send a huge thank you to absolutely everybody that's watched the video, liked, shared a comment, followed me on Instagram, on Facebook, anything like that. So a massive thank you to everybody on that for supporting me and following me on my journey, and Alice's journey and Mrs. the Mechanic's journey to Ford Fair, and to any other weird and wonderful things that we've got up to. Here's looking to 2025, bigger and better than 2024. So a huge thank you to everybody. If you're not already subscribed, please do that. Press that subscribe button, press that like button, and I'll see you in the coming videos in 2025. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.